Om Tat Sat. Welcome to Gyan Bhakti. We are currently exploring the scripture Mysticism of Srimad Bhagavatam. Commentary is by my Guruji, Swami Jyotirmayananda Maharaj, narrated by myself, Swami Nikhilananda. Currently, we are exploring the different avatars of Lord Vishnu. So for today's satsang, on the path of sadhana or spiritual discipline, there is a gradual ascent leading to the unfoldment of subtler planes of the divine self. The ascent is from the plane of physical objects to the plane of senses, from the plane of senses to the plane of mind, from the plane of mind to the plane of intellect, and from the intellect to the cosmic mind or the purified chitta, and from the plane of the purified chitta to the absolute self. Accompanying this ascent on the spiritual path, there is a descent of divine energy to meet the aspirant on his onward movement and to endow him with the success of his mission. No matter how gross the plane of existence, it is interpreted by the self. It is the light of that self which sustains and supports all developments in human personality, even in its grossest level. Therefore, as one ascends the ladder of evolution, the spiritual energy descends from the higher plane, and the process of ascent, which has attended to with effort, pain, and insecurity, now turns into a delightful, spontaneous movement aided by the descending power of the self. So we go upwards to meet God, and God comes downwards to meet us. So it's a beautiful union. This vision of the descent emerges and unfoldment of spiritual energy is mystically depicted in a highly figurative language in the stories of divine incarnations or avataras. The divine urge for balance. It is a divine law to always maintain balance on the physical, psychological, and spiritual planes. In the physical level, for example, the moment there is high pressure in Miami and low pressure in New York, immediately the wind will rush from Miami to New York. When there is a change in the pressure of water in the ocean, special ocean currents will arise. Thus, changes are always going on. The main purpose is to restore balance, and nature is constantly restoring balance. On the psychological and spiritual plane, the same thing applies. If the majority of human beings begin to follow the path of adharma or unrighteousness, completely ignoring all ethical values, something has to happen. Then God manifests either as a spiritual leader like Rama, Krishna, or Buddha, or as a mighty happening like a war or earthquake, or even the coronavirus maybe that we are facing now, or a cultural or political upheaval bringing about a tremendous change. Lord Krishna declares in the Gita, whenever there is a decline of dharma or righteous order and a rise of adharma, I manifest myself controlling my yoga maya, the power of cosmic illusion. The shloka is Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srajamyaham. So he himself is validating and clarifying that point. From the protection of the sadhus, divine personalities, sages and saints, and for the destruction of the dushkritas, the doers of evil, or the forces of darkness, and for the establishment of dharma, I incarnate from time to time. So Lord Krishna says, Paritranaya sadhunam dushkritam sambhavani yuge yuge. So which means to guide the righteous souls and to punish the evil souls. Vinashakaya cha dushkritam. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashakaya cha dushkritam. Dharma sansthapanarthaya sambhavani yuge yuge. to establish dharma, I come from time to time, which means there are multiple avatars. This is Gita, chapter 4, shloka number 7 and 8, who want to go deeper. The purpose of avataras is to restore order in society. An avatara does not rid the earth of all demons or demoniac forces. Souls always stay at different levels. What the avatara does, however, is straighten the ladder. The ladder that should have been leading one upwards has become slanted or has fallen down, and the avatara lifts it back up again. He straightens the order so that society again feels the impact of the ethical values of life. Internally, God manifests within the mind of an aspirant in the form of special divine insights and realizations. Externally, God manifests in the world in the form of a divine personality to bring about harmony in a particular segment of humanity or portion of the universe. You must realize that the Earth planet is not the only world. There are numerous world systems in which the divinity manifests. Further, the same incarnations can occur again and again in time as history repeats in the world process. Thus, for example, the story of Lord Rama is presented by different saints in different ways. These differences reflect in various manifestations of the divine being. As Lord Rama, there are various differences in their deeds. Out of the 24 avatars of Lord Vishnu highlighted in Srimad Bhagavatam, 10 are most important for aspirations on the path of devotion. These are Varaha avatar in the form of a boar, Matsya avatar, the fish avatara, Kachap in the tortoise, Nrasimha or man-lion, Vamana, dwarf, Parshurama, Ram with an axe, Rama, the delighter of hearts, Balarama, Rama's elder brother, Rama endowed with might, Krishna, the source of attraction and charm, and Buddha, the enlightened one. So that's the 10. We will now explore some of these most important incarnations along with their mystic implications for the spiritual movement in the life of an aspirant. Although the stories of these avatars appear in different sections of Srimad Bhagavatam, Swamiji Jyotirmayananda has chosen to highlight them together in this chapter so we get a full comprehensive view of all the different avatars together, and then we will delve into the nectar of the rest of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So let's start with Varaha Avatara, the boat incarnation. While Brahmaji was involved in his work of creation, the earth became submerged in waters and sank deep beneath the ocean. In despair, Brahmaji called out in prayer to Lord Vishnu for help in overcoming this problem. Suddenly, a tiny boar hog, cub no larger than a thumb, emerged from Brahmaji's nostrils. Standing up before his eyes, the boar instantly grew to the size of a mighty elephant. To the amazement of Brahma and his sons, that massive boar raised his ferocious white tusk, emitting a resounding roar, and then playfully plunged into the ocean waters. Soon the divine boar located the submerged earth and began sportively to lift it up on the tip of his tusk. His effort and all his efforts they were challenged by Hiranyaksha, the first Asura demon. This formidable enemy tried to bar the way of the divine boar or Varaha Avatara with his great mace, but that incarnation of Lord Vishnu effortlessly struck him down and killed him in the ocean waters. Then Varaha rose up victoriously and gently placed the earth on the surface of the ocean. Having done so amidst great songs of praise, the divine boar quickly vanished. So the divine boar or Varaha avatar represents a mighty spiritual force that manifests in the unconscious mind of an evolving aspirant. This is the mystical meaning of Varaha avatar. When an aspirant generates pure impressions by the practice of meditation and devotion, that Varaha is born to overcome the obstacles in the waters of the unconscious and bring forth the wisdom that has long been cramped by the presence of negative impressions. How does it do so? With the amazing and ferociously single-minded concentration characteristics of a giant hog, that force ignores everything else and charges against its target of ignorance and resounding force. In this process, with blind or piggish one-pointedness, the divine force overcomes the evil Hiranyaksha. Hiranyaksh means the demon with golden eyes. Hiranya means gold, Aksh means eyes. So Hiranyaksha represents the mind that is focused primarily upon the material values of life, ignoring the ethical and spiritual. When that limitation of mind is overcome, the ethical and spiritual values, which are dharma and moksha, blossom and become predominant in the mind of an aspirant. So with this we have concluded today's satsanga and the incarnation of Varaha avatar. Tomorrow we will discuss the incarnation of Matsya avatara and continue this beautiful satsang together. This is Swami Nikhilananda. Om Tat Sat.